All right, guys, what's going on? Thank you so much for joining in. You know what? Today I want to talk about a topic that is near and dear to my heart because it's something that I struggled with when I was younger. Originally when I was just a young boy, in high school, I struggled with self-confidence. I wouldn't say that, I was super shy or anything like that, but I certainly wasn't the type of person that was 100% comfortable with walking up to strangers or something. And so one of the things that I did is I started working in door-to-door sales. I thought that, my confidence was quite high at that point. But what I realized is that, as I started progressing in life, I realized that one of the things that was holding me back from achieving the goals that I wanted to achieve in my life, more than anything else, was myself. It really came down to the fact that whenever I was right at the precipice of basically achieving a monumental goal for myself, I would find some way to sort of sabotage it, and sabotage myself so that that goal didn't get achieved. And that's when I truly realized that, something inside me, but didn't really love myself enough or didn't feel that I was worthy of the success that I truly desired. And that's when I realized that, it has to do with my self-confidence, the way that I see myself, the image of myself, and that it really isn't as good as, or, well established as I thought it was. So, since that point, I've been working on myself consistently over time, and I'm still a work in progress, just like a lot of people out there. But today I want to talk about 7 foolproof ways to boost your self-confidence. These are guaranteed to work. These are guaranteed to work if you work them. So let's get going on this. All right, number 1, be prepared. Okay, confidence comes from preparation more than anything else. Okay, what is lack of self-confidence? It can honestly be traced back to the fear of failure. Okay, if I'm scared to do something, it's usually because I'm afraid that if I was to do it, I would fail. Okay, and that fear of failure is basically coming from a place where I don't actually have the confidence in knowing that I can accomplish that task. So how can I overcome this? Be prepared for it. One of the best ways to overcome fear is to identify what it is that you're afraid of and then start training for it. Actually writing down what it is that you're concerned about, is often going to do enough to alleviate all the fears that you have related to that thing. So say, for example, there's a big boardroom meeting or something, that I know is coming up, right? And I'm worried about it. Well, what exactly am I worried about? Am I worried about my performance? Am I worried that I'm going to be ridiculed? Am I worried that the presentation is shit? Or am I worried that I won't be able to deliver a good presentation? Well, if I'm worried that my presentation is shit, then I need to do a better job of preparing that presentation. And if I'm worried that my delivery of the presentation is going to be terrible, then I need to practice presenting that. And if I practice presenting that 10, 15 times, you better believe that it's going to give you more self-confidence when it comes to actually doing it. Okay? So Sun Tzu said that the first step to evading a trap is knowing that it exists. What is it that you're afraid of? What is it that you lack self-confidence about? Let's identify that first, because then we can start working on it. Okay, now if you're afraid of making a presentation, like I said, practice it with your friends or family, whatever it is that you need to work on. Come up with a plan to start working on that. You can literally become so knowledgeable about the subject that the fear that you normally get from it is going to subside because you understand the problem so well. And like I said, oftentimes just writing down the issue that you have, whatever it is that your fear is, whatever your concern is, whatever that you lack self-confidence about, just writing that down oftentimes is going to be enough to basically alleviate that fear. Okay, number 2, exercise. So if any of you guys have ever listened to me before, you guys know that I'm all about the physicality of things, okay? And I'm a big believer in our physiology, okay? So exercise, Richard Branson was once asked, what is the number 1 time management productivity tip that you can give us if somebody wants to become a billionaire? And he said, exercise every day. So this is a man who's achieved levels of success that most of us can ever dream of. And they're asking him, what's the best tip that you can think of to give other people? And he said, exercise. So when it comes to your self-confidence, it's proven that exercise reduces feelings of depression, anxiety, negative moods, and self-esteem, low self-esteem. On top of that, Exercise is going to boost cognitive function and your self-image. So what is cognitive function? That's your ability to process, and calculate and have focus and to be able to focus on a task. And when you are able to think clearly, you better believe that's going to give you confidence. Now, endorphins are obviously going to be getting released that are going to be reducing stress, which in the form of anxiety is a culprit when it comes to lack of self-confidence. What is the byproduct of self-confidence? The byproduct of self-confidence is lack of action. We're not able to do the things that we need to do to be able to achieve our goals. But when our stress levels are reduced, that anxiety goes away. It's easier for us to take action, which is what it's all about. Now, next, gaining a sense of accomplishment after every workout is going to give you momentum and a feeling of power as you're taking action. So, getting up and doing a workout is not easy sometimes. It takes motivation, it takes willpower to start doing it. But continuously doing that every single day builds a habit of taking action. Building a habit of taking action is something that is going to dramatically boost your self-confidence. Okay? And then what else does exercise do? It improves your brain function. It's going to give you better focus, better clarity, and basically improve performance in all aspects of your life, whether they be to do with self-development, living longer, your relationships, everything. Okay, and then, so let's continue on the path of physiology. Number 3. How can you improve your self-confidence? Change your physiology. If you want to change the way that you feel, nothing is going to change the way that you feel faster than changing your physiology, right? So what does that mean? If you find yourself slouching a lot, stand up straighter. Sit up with a better posture. Notice how that makes you feel. Notice how slouching makes you feel. Notice how frowning makes you feel. And then smile. Stand up straight and smile. How does that make you feel? Now try and do that for a whole entire day. And start doing that every single day. And notice what happens to your self-confidence. It's been proven to improve your mood. If you smile more, it's going to reduce anxiety. It's going to reduce feelings of depression. Same with standing up straighter and having better posture. And this is something that I struggled with all my life. If anybody knows me, they know that most of my life I had terrible posture. It's only until I realized how important posture was that I started actively focusing on it. And it's hard to break old habits, but old habits get broken when new ones get built. And if you start getting into the habit of standing up straighter, it's going to break those old habits for you. Next, breathe fully. Take time to take deep breaths. Notice that when you're anxious, notice that when something happens that makes you cringe or makes you afraid, the first thing that we do is hold our breath. We stop breathing like, oh no. We stop breathing. That's the opposite of what we need to be doing. Feelings of anxiety are linked to shallow breathing or holding our breath too long without realizing it. Take a few breaths. Whenever you get into a situation where you're starting to feel a little bit of tension, do something that I do that I learned from a gentleman by the name of John Ashereff, and it's called Take 6. You basically take deep breaths, and as you're taking these breaths, you're repeating a mantra in your mind. So you're going to breathe in through the nose, and you're going to exhale through the mouth. You're going to breathe in through the nose, and you're going to say to yourself, I breathe in calmness. And then when you breathe out, you're going to say to yourself, I breathe out fear. I breathe in calmness. I breathe out fear. I breathe in calmness. I breathe out fear. Do that 6 times. See how that makes you feel. And then start doing that multiple times during the day. You're the one that's in control of how you feel. Okay, number 4, write your goals out daily. Okay, so if you guys know me, I'm a big believer of writing and rewriting your goals out every single day. This is something that I learned from Brian Tracy. God bless him. Why do you want to do this? It's going to give you clarity. Okay? With clarity is going to come a sense of purpose. All right? With a sense of purpose, you're going to be clearer about the goals that you have and the fact that you want to achieve them. That's going to give you desire. What is desire? Desire is an emotion. And emotions are what you need to take action. See, we don't take action because it makes sense to take action. It's our emotions that actually drive us to taking action. So whatever emotion you need to channel to get you to take action, despite of the fact that you lack confidence, in whatever it may be, whether that emotion is disgust. In my life, I've used disgust to motivate me to do things. Like often, most of the time when I really need to make a big change, it's disgust that makes me do it. Jim Rohn said that disgust is a powerful emotion. Okay, but desire is also an emotion that can get you there. And how we develop desire is we have to stay focused on what it is that we want, and we have to be very, very clear about what we want. And we have to repeat that clarity and repeat that focus every single day until it becomes a burning desire within us. And then we're going to end up taking action that we need to take to be able to fulfill that desire, whether it makes us afraid to do so or not. All right, number 5, change your focus, okay? Unsuccessful people, they spend time thinking about what they don't want to happen. Successful people spend time thinking about what they do want to happen, okay? That's a very big difference because, there's something called the law of correspondence, which means that your inner world is a mere reflection of your outer world, or your outer world is a mere reflection of your inner world. Okay? So if you're constantly thinking about negative things happening inside your mind, then all that you're going to see in the world around you is negative things. So catch yourself getting negative and have a conversation with yourself right there and then. If you hear that little voice inside your mind saying, "Oh, you know what? You can't do it. If you were to do that, what would happen? Oh, what would people think?" If you have that voice creeping up inside you right at that moment, have a little conversation with yourself and be like, hey, you know what? If I do that, who cares what people think? But this is what I'm going to do because doing this is going to make me a better person, or doing this is going to bring me closer to my goals. Believe me, having a conversation with yourself like that in your mind doesn't mean that you're crazy in any way. So the biggest thing that you want to do is you want to control the real estate, which is the 6 inches between your ears. Okay, that's the key to it all. That's what mastery in this life would be. If we were able to master our internal psychology, at that point, I believe that we would become enlightened. That's what an enlightened being is. A person who's in true control of their inner psychology. And that means taking responsibility for how we feel. So how can you change your focus? Ask yourself better questions. Instead of saying to myself, "Oh, why can't I afford it?" Say to yourself, "How can I afford it?" Instead of saying, "Why have I never been successful?" Ask yourself, "What do I need to do to be successful?" Okay? Because your brain is a very, very powerful tool. It's going to answer whatever question you ask it. As Tony Robbins once very elegantly put it, you've been asking yourself really stupid questions. If you keep asking yourself, "Why am I so fat? Why am I so fat?" Your brain is going to say, "'Cause you're a pig." Ask yourself a better question. Okay? Stand guard at the door of your mind, people. And listen, I want you to know that as I say this to you guys, I say this to myself. Most of the time when I do these podcasts, there might not even be anybody listening. I honestly don't care whether or not somebody listens. It's like I'm saying all this stuff to myself. This is part of my own personal development when I create this. So don't ever think, guys, that I'm trying to preach, or anything like that. I'm a work in progress, just like everybody else out there. Okay? But these are some ideas that I like to share, and perhaps you guys can give me your opinion on it. Number 6, groom and dress yourself better. Okay? So looking good makes us feel good. Okay? That's something very, very natural. Whenever we dress up, makes us feel a little bit more confident. Keeping yourself well groomed, well kept, right, is obviously going to be improving the way that you feel about yourself. Okay? What you want to do, according to Brian Tracy, is you want to dress 2 levels above the job you currently have. Okay? So the way that people dress in the job that I currently have, right? If they're dressing casually, well, maybe I want to dress business casually. If I'm working in a job where people are dressing business casually, maybe I want to be dressing in full business attire. All right? Because appearance matters. Whether we like it or not, other people judge us based on the way that we look, the way that we're groomed, the way that our clothing is. And it's not that they're horrible people or something. People judge us at a subconscious level. They judge us without even knowing it. Well, not consciously. They don't look at a person and be like, oh yeah, you know what? Let me think about what this person, I don't like how he looks. No. They look at us and they instantly, within a second, they classify us. They put us into certain groups, and we do the same thing. It's human nature to do that. And not only do we judge other people, but we judge ourselves. In fact, we judge ourselves more than we judge other people. So if we constantly are dressing good, taking care of ourselves, when we judge ourselves, we're going to say to ourselves, you know what? You're a fine-looking human being, Jeremiah. You're a fine-looking man. And that's how we want to be. Okay, and so for more tips on this, there's a beautiful book called Dress for Success by John T. Malloy. It is basically, the term Dress for Success actually comes from this book by John T. Malloy, and it is a true masterpiece if anybody wants to read about how to dress. Okay, number 7, visualization. Okay? Nothing can give you more confidence than visualizing the ideal outcome of whatever scenario it is that you're concerned about. So Olympic and professional athletes, high performance executives have known this for many, many years. They've been using the power of visualization. They'll put themselves, or they'll get somebody else to put themselves in a state where they're hypnotized, or in a state where they're extremely relaxed, and then they'll start visualizing their ideal outcome. And the reason why they do this and the reason why this works is because the subconscious mind cannot differentiate from imagined experiences and real experiences. Okay? So when I imagine myself standing in front of a crowd of, say, 1,000 people and speaking brilliantly, my subconscious mind thinks that that is a real experience. And then my subconscious mind, when it comes to creating a self-image for myself, notes that and says that, okay, this, the self-image that I have, or this person has, is the image of a person that can do that can stand in front of 1,000 people and give a beautiful speech. Okay? So imagine yourself achieving your goals. Imagine yourself being successful in every way. Imagine how you want to look. Imagine how, you want your business career to be like. Imagine how you want your personal relationships with those that you care for the most to be like. And do that on a regular basis. Try and do it every day if you can. Okay? There was a study that I just want to quickly reference just to illustrate the power of this. Basically, there was 3 test groups, and it was a study to do with free throw shooting. And so basically there was 3 basketball teams. The first basketball team was just conducting regular practices like they normally would. Okay? The other basketball team was no longer conducting regular practices. All they were doing is practicing their free throw shooting. And then the third basketball team was not practicing at all. All they were doing was spending about 30 to 60 minutes closing their eyes and visualizing making free throws, and doing it in a way where every single free throw that they were making was going in. And at the end of a certain period of time, I forget exactly how long it was, but it was a period of time of many, many weeks. The team that hadn't even practiced, all they were doing was visualizing, making the free throws, had the same amount of gains as the team that was actually practicing the free throws. And both of those test groups outperformed the team that was just doing the regular basketball practices. So that is the power of visualization. Even though they actually weren't doing it, they were just pretending that they were doing it. It was able to give them that edge. And that's what you'll find, that, if you read stories about people that were extremely successful, you'll notice a very common theme, that they spend a lot of time visualizing and imagining their future success. They always saw themselves as a person that was going to be achieving it. They spent time thinking about it, that, okay, once I achieve it, this is what my life is going to be like. And slowly over time, they reprogrammed their subconscious mind so that their subconscious mind was no longer in their way and allowed them to have this success. Okay? And if you guys want to learn more about visualization, there's a terrific book called Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz that I would highly recommend. Okay? So to conclude, listen, the highest form of responsibility is taking responsibility for how you feel. Okay? Nobody can make you feel more or less self-confident, we are the ones that are actually feeling that way. And that's a very empowering thought, because if we are the ones that are actually feeling that way, that means that we can change the way that we feel. Okay? And that is incredibly empowering. So, what you have to do is make yourself feel the way that you need to feel to achieve what it is that you want. Be in control of your state of mind, be in control of your mindset, and do all of these things to help yourself. Like when I say being in control of your mindset, I mean taking action on these ideas that I've given you, and putting them into practice, and then slowly being conscious of the fact, of how you feel, so that you can change the way that you feel. Because our destiny is in our hands, and that is the truth, And the truth, they say, shall set you free. But one thing that I know is that the truth is incredibly empowering, right? Another thing I want to touch on is that what is the idea of being brave? The idea of being brave doesn't mean that you're not afraid. To not be afraid is unnatural. That's the human beings were meant to be afraid. Fear is actually quite good for us. Okay? But being brave means acting despite the fact that we are afraid. So somebody who's brave is somebody that acts even though they are afraid. That's the difference. So like I said, fear is natural and it's necessary. Without fear, we wouldn't be alive right now. Without fear, we would have done something so stupid that we would have damaged this body and ended our life on this existence. Okay? So fear is necessary. And the last thing that I want to say is that please, if you guys got any value out of this, please like this video, share it wherever you found this. If you are listening to this on a podcast, please tune in again next time and share it in the future. If you're seeing this on Facebook Live, where I usually broadcast these, please like and share these videos that I make, so that I get some positive feedback. Leave comments. Let me know what you guys think. Give me some sort of feedback so that I can know what sort of content you guys actually want me to make. I want to thank you guys one more time for tuning in, and God bless you, and I will speak with you guys once again in the future, I hope. All the best. Bye-bye.